Hey Ranger Nation, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about Power Rangers Beast Morphers Episode 6, The Blame Game. Now, if you like this sort of content and you want to see more, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, as well as that cheeky notification bell to be notified when more videos drop. We're going to start in, so yeah, let's just jump straight into the review. I think this is the best episode that we've had so far, mainly because it teaches a lot of responsibility. Now, we begin in the park where the Rangers are all playing kind of catch, and this little girl who's eating a sandwich throws her trash on the floor. Her dad then gives her a punishment and says you need to pick up 3 extra pieces of trash to go in the bin, and she starts complaining a little bit, but Steel kind of sees this and he kind of thinks, oh, well maybe I need to kind of implement this around, because obviously humans do a bit better when there's punishment. The Rangers kind of all explain that, you know, it's good discipline for the child because the child has kind of messed up, so therefore, you know, it's basically a punishment thing. Steel also comes up with the conclusion that to teach lessons, you need a punishment as well. And I was just like, oh, okay, Steel, this episode is about you being a badass all the way through. We jump to the new cyber dimension, and Roxy and Blaze have got this kind of puppet to give to Scruzzle. EVOC is majorly going on his plan, saying we need Nate, we need this, and he seems to be kind of really rushed, like this is a plan where he wants to kind of wants to make it happen right now. Controller-Tron is the main monster of this episode, and to be fair, I would call him Puppet-Tron. It fits more for what he's doing. In this, Controller-Tron is able to make puppets of people and control them. And I've got to admit, I really like the way he uses his hands for puppets. It's not just a, you will do what I say, he actually has to control them, which then shows like kind of a lot of like control and mental balance in this monster, which I think is absolutely cool. So Blaze and Roxy have got a mission to make Controller-Tron go to Nate and control him and, you know, fix the plan, which when I saw all this, I was so gutted that it wasn't the idea that I said in the last review that I did. We come back to Grid Battle Force, and Ben and Betty are picking up leaves and stuff with the, was it called a leaf blower? Something like that. And they can't get it to work, so they unclog it, which is normal, and Betty decides to put Morphex into the actual tree blower, and that's pretty much it. It goes out of control, it sucks up all the kind of leaves, and then sucks up an entire tree, which then makes the bag explode, which I'm very kind of, consider the pipe that goes straight to the bag. You do see in another shot that the tree is actually still there. They just like got rid of it in CG or something, but it looks, it's still there, and it kind of made me giggle. We come to Grid Battle Force, and everyone is being scanned to be let in. If they've got parcels, the parcel has to be scanned, etc, etc. Now the main guy is called Cole, and Cole is the kind of like, in this episode, he's the one that gets like crapped on the most. So he scans people and he lets one person through by accident, like, yeah, you can go normally. Steel doesn't like this at all, and thus therefore calls him out on his shenanigans. I don't know why it's a shenanigan. That's what's happened. I'm going to stick with that. Because of this, Steel has a massive go at him and says, you need to go outside. That is your punishment. And Cole kind of goes like, yeah, okay, fair enough. I didn't follow procedure. I'm going to do that. So he goes outside. This is where the main plot for the story is going to be. I kind of like when Steel turns around and goes, cool. It feels like it's one of those like police like investigations or something. Zoe thinks that Steel is being a little bit too harsh, and everyone's like, well no, he did break the rules, so it kind of goes under. But you do know that Steel is just taking this way too out of control, and you think that he would have asked the Rangers properly if he should be giving punishment, because at the moment it does sound like Steel is becoming a bit of a dick. Controller-Tron, Blaze and Roxy are now outside the base. They have created a puppet of Cole, which again is really random. You thought it may be a blank doll to control them, and you can see that Cole does like the same movements as Controller-Tron. So Cole now under the control of Controller-Tron, dear God, say that 10 times fast, now takes the version of Nate into the lab, goes past all of security, which you kind of think after one of the people probably heard this was just like, you can't go in, like, you know, we need to scan. Just walks straight in and we see Nate holding this giant bow. Abraham tweeted out on the 4th of April when he's holding up the prop bow that we see that's coming up in the next few episodes. He said, "Fun fact, that prop was so heavy my arms were quaking after a few seconds of holding it, but tell me I didn't make that thing look light as a feather." And I will say, yes you did. I genuinely thought it was a foam prop or it had nothing in it. I generally was just like, damn, that must be really light when I saw it. The Rangers are now at the gym and they're all sitting down about to get smoothies or drinks. They wonder where Nate is, but Steele's come in and he said that Nate is working at the lab. Now, they ask what Steele's been doing, and Steele kind of reveals that he's been giving punishments out to pretty much anyone that has been doing stuff, either carts going too fast, either people in carts speeding too fast, or staff with their shoes untied. And it kind of gets to the point where you see what like Steele's doing and you kind of think, could you please stop for a bit? It would be nice. But at the moment is just literally he's giving out punishments. The last one that he's about to have a go at is someone who's working at the gym who brings the drinks over and thus therefore is chewing gum. He states that the gym allows no gum in it, so therefore he has to spit it out. And he's about to give a punishment. But lo and behold, the others kind of stop him in his tracks and say, you can't keep doing this. Commander rings the Rangers because a Robotron has been found behind the base. And you kind of think that maybe EVOC and the others should send loads of Robotrons to destroy the base. That's what I would do. I just send wave upon wave. The Rangers wouldn't be able to take anyone out. The others ask Nate to meet them there, but the commander says that Nate isn't answering comms. You think the Rangers would try and contact Nate straight away, but because Nate isn't answering it, Rangers run off to Grid Battle Force. The Rangers arrive at Grid Battle Force and they see the Robotron. Nate comes out the building all morphed and he literally bows to the Robotron, and thus therefore the Rangers are like, hang on, what are you doing? Watch out, and they can't believe their eyes. At this point, Control-Tron actually turns around and gets Nate to attack the Rangers, and we get a full-on fight, and I've got to admit it's really cool. Now my question is, and I don't know if you guys have noticed this as well, is when Rangers are evil, they always win. They do not care and they literally fight as fast as they can and actually like win. So I'm like, so do evil Rangers always win? I really like the fact that Nate goes, Tronics! Like, it is actually kind of cool. So again, as the fights happen, I forgot to mention the Nate part, but yeah, I really kind of dug this entire scene. Nate and Controltron teleport out back to the cyber dimension, which then we switch to after the Rangers are kind of like, oh my god, what's happened? Why have they taken Nate? Nate is now finishing off the program that EVOC wants the most, and I'm kind of curious to what it is. Now, I do like the fact that when Nate turns around, EVOC steps up so you can't see the screen. So I'm wondering if the screen had information at that time to show what it was. I would laugh if it had like a dinosaur theme for the kind of, for the team up that's coming up. I think it'd be kind of really cool. I also kind of really like the fact that EVOC is having a go at Blaze and Roxy, mainly because he's saying that they can't do what's just happened, and are they going to be doing it? And I generally kind of thought that was fine. It just felt like EVOC doesn't like Blaze and Roxy, but I kind of thought if you didn't like him that much, you would then want to try and get more people in, create more generals, actually get more powerful people. But it was kind of cool to see. We come up to two main parts now. Devon and the others are walking to see the commander, but Ben and Betty step in and say that they think they saw Nate outside. So Devon then goes off. Steele then goes and tells the commander what's happened, that Nate has been controlled, and they bring in Cole. And Steele goes on and says, hey, look, Cole did this, you know, he brought in a package, this is the second time today, and he literally fires Cole. But then Zoe's like, no, wait, hang on. The commander then steps in and says, no, you are fired, you're dismissed, you let a Ranger get controlled. That's not right. Cole tries to defend himself by saying that his mind was foggy, he doesn't remember doing this, and this is a big thing that we will see much later on near the end of the episode. Devon is outside trying to find Nate, and he can't seem to find him. Cole has left Grid Battle Force after being fired, and he leaves and walks out, and then spots that Nate is now sneaking up on Devon to actually fight and kind of like attack him. Previously in the cyber dimension, Scruzzle says that they are going to send down 2 Giga drones to attack the city and stop him. So that happens to call the other Rangers away. Devon is now fighting Nate, and it gets into a heated battle and it carries on. And I generally kind of like this. I really like seeing Rangers fight each other. We kind of switch between the Zord fights and Nate fighting Devon in Morphed. And it kind of switches to a lot of the Japanese footage right now. As Nate is fighting Devon, we see a lot of moves coming back, and we see that Nate shouts out, evil things, which I generally thought was enjoyable, where he's like, no one can control me and blah, 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 and like never, and then the evil laugh, which is kind of perfect. In the end, Devon does win. He does this really kind of cool move where he literally jumps at Nate, like kind of kicks him, and then throws his saber straight at Tron, destroying the puppet, which then wakes up Nate and returns him to normal. In the Zord fights, it's quite a lot of it, which is kind of nice, but the control version of it, the Tron version of the Giga Drone, takes over Ravi's Zord and actually uses it to attack the kind of Megazord formation of Nate and Steel. Now, I would have gone for the Megazord version because that would have been a lot easier rather than a singular Zord. It would have been kind of cool to see that sort of fight. As Nate returns to normal, Devon uses his X visor, turns his kind of battle mode, and then destroys Tron with the cheetah move that we saw previously in the last episode. As soon as Tron's done, Devon meets up with the others, they form the Megazord, and they take out the two Giga Drones quite easily. Then we come to the last part where Nate explains that he doesn't remember most of the things that happened when he was controlled. It was a little bit foggy. And Steel kind of figures out, like, oh no, he did bad against Cole, so therefore he tries to make it up and says, hey, I'm really sorry about this. It wasn't my fault. And he kind of learns the lesson of don't always punish everyone, don't lead into what you see, look about. Now, I'm very concerned that they don't have security cameras outside the base, so they could have actually said, look, why did you do this? And he goes, I don't know. They could have just jumped back and said, he's done this. That to me would have been the most easiest thing to do. So it's kind of interesting. Cole then gets his job back and everything seems to be okay. Ben and Betty have decided to put a seed into the ground, which is a tree, to regrow it because obviously the one they destroyed. They place one drop, which is what they need, and it grows into a normal tree. But because the others come out just before they meet Cole, the Ben and Betty knock over the formula, which then turns it into a giant tree. Now, I generally thought this would have turned into a huge tree, bigger than what normal is, but obviously they can't really always CGI a tree out because of the antics of Ben and Betty. So what do? They just leave it back. It's just normal. As the tree has grown, it's picked up Ben and Betty and they're stuck in a tree. But if you look at the original tree, it doesn't look that big, so they could easily jump out, but they asked for the Rangers for help, and that is pretty much it, the episode. My final thought, I kind of really liked this episode. It felt a bit different from the others, but I do feel like it's going back to season 1. Nate being controlled, obviously that happened with the clone one that could easily turn himself into other people. I just feel like it's going that one, but I really like the fact that Nate just absolutely annihilated all the Rangers really, really quickly when he's evil, and I like that quite a bit. I do kind of think that EVOC's plan would possibly be maybe part of the team up that's coming up. That might be a thing, or it could possibly be just the main sort of stuff going on, or it might be the fact that much later on we will see something completely different. I would love it in the Dino team up if we saw Basco. I think that would be kind of cool if he was the monster of the day. That would be absolutely fantastic. So I really liked this episode. It was fun, it was interesting, and it had a lot more kind of in-depth stuff. I just really want to see Nate turn evil again and absolutely wail on all the Rangers, because that was absolutely perfect to see. So I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this sort of content and you want to see more, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, as well as that cheeky notification bell to be notified when more videos drop. And with that, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for watching, and I'm going to see you in the next video.